We'll look and see if a few people get to pop in with us today. Okay. So wait in just a moment to see as people maybe pop in. But again, y'all, good afternoon. Happy Friday. And I can imagine some people might be a little more excited about this particular Friday as they are definitely working to really be on vacation. I'm saying working to, but they're about to take a break, right? And possibly get started with their holiday very soon. So, again, thank you all for joining. We're going to figure this out, this personality styles, right? And types. And is there an I in team? Does somebody tell the truth or what's happening? We're going to figure that out today. TMI design, that's Tamara. Hello, hello, Bison fam. I hope you're having a good day. Right, y'all, we really are going to figure this out. We're going to dig deep. Because again, somebody hasn't been telling the truth, because what if I told you that there is an I in team? All right. Please say hello. Let us know that you're tuning in. No more lurking, right? We let that go. We left that behind. Um, so please say hi, hello, and just hey. Y'all, I'll say it again. Just thank you so much for being flexible with the timing. We've been trying something a little bit different for this month of February in terms of the time we want to go. But I will say I definitely like these Friday discussions. I do. So figuring out a time that might work really well. But again, we appreciate your flexibility so very much. All right. So we're about to jump into it. So if we're wondering, some of y'all are like, no, there is no I in team, right? So what kind of phonics, what kind of phonetics and things are we working with here at Holistic Fluency, right? But before that, I want you all to make sure to be on the lookout for some media and press updates soon, some articles, podcast features, and really some magazine sightings. Okay. So be ready. Be ready. We're so excited and so grateful for this time and space, and very happy to share that with you. Um, one major piece that I wanted to take a moment to point out is our free 99, absolutely gratis, absolutely free Beyond the Jargon webinar, right? Which is emphasizing supporting ELLs, English language learners, in math class for sure. So the registration page is open. And where's the link? Y'all know where the link is. The link is, you guessed it, in the bio, right? Well, people always say, why is the link in the bio? Hey, Wanda, thank you for tuning in. Thank you. All right, y'all. So if you are a newer follower or maybe missed some of our more recent lives, okay, no worries at all. We want to encourage you to go back though and check them out, y'all. Some of the topics have been absolutely, well, obviously, I feel like all the topics, right, have been absolutely amazing discussions. Catch the replay, because some of the topics were multiple intelligences, generational dynamics, an intergenerational workplace, and love languages while in lockdown. So, right, sometimes we have to stay in place, whether it's winter storm, just kind of reflecting on some of what happened in peak COVID times. So, kind of putting a twist, a little spin on some of those things. Again, whether you're watching it, a replay for this one or one of the others, please don't forget to put hashtag replay in the comments. All right. Again, thank you for tuning in. Y'all, in 2023, we're executing with intention and a spirit of synergy. All right. So thank y'all again for being here. Let's do it. We're about to drop some gems about these personality styles and types. And we really want to make sure we're providing insight on how they can help us when we're maneuvering through these different spaces and aspects and phases of life. So I'm going to say it again. Somebody said that there's no I in team, right? That's a very common thing that people say. But y'all, they're not telling the truth. Somebody lied. They're not telling the truth. So what are we talking about? Glad you asked. We're purposely discussed concepts and theories around awareness, right? Y'all know that's our jam. So both self-awareness and then general awareness, and in that order by design. That is really where most of the developmental work needs to be done and should be done, whether you're talking about on an individual level or an organization as a whole, right? That intrapersonal and that interpersonal. Yeah, really developing and building those skill sets. We say it often that these two, again, are the areas that have the most need, right? So in individuals, every capacity, whether it's yourself, just basic knowledge of self, you as a peer, you as a direct report colleague, you as a leader, you as a guardian, I mean, everything, right? And then from there, you go out and branch out into when you're interacting with others. So think more like collaboration in family, in work, and in social settings. So besides what we've been discussing on past lives, right, that we just mentioned a moment ago, some of those topics, a couple of our favorite awareness builders, regardless of the age, are work assessment, the color type. So there's four main colors that people kind of fall into. There's the compass assessment, so the north, south, east, west. A lot of people are familiar with the directional one. And even a fruit one, a fruit profile. And yeah, we're going to go ahead with that. And we're going to start to get into these styles and types. Yes, I said fruit, a fruit profile, but just to make sure y'all are ready, let's drop a fruit emoji. Okay. So with this fruit emoji, drop whatever you want. You can drop a banana, an apple, an orange. Y'all drop it, a fruit emoji of your choice. So let me know that you're ready to go. Okay. Because again, believe it or not, a fruit profile is one of the types, right? One of the types for these different personality styles, if you will. So you can drop whatever fruit emoji when you're ready. Yeah. So again, getting deeper into this discovery of this I and team. Anika, what are y'all talking about? So there is a lot of value in each of those profiles that we mentioned. We mentioned the fruit, the compass, the work color assessment, but we want to make sure that we consider in all of these the concentration of the types. So the concentration of the types, meaning which styles are most represented, right? Because that impacts the balance or lack thereof in team dynamics. So that'll help guide what the team's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, right? Some of y'all know about a SWOT analysis. It impacts the SWOT analysis. Again, it impacts the balance of the team. And it can really make your team be boring. It can. Okay, y'all are creative. I see some strawberries. I see some peaches. Cool. We're rolling. I love it. We're rolling. And yeah, I said to y'all, we don't want to be boring. Too much alignment in any space. Alignment versus symmetry. The space can be uninspired, and what it produces can be uninspired as well. So again, we want more of symmetry, more of there being balance versus too much alignment where everyone is looking and sounding the same. Yeah. Okay. So also from here, I want you all to think about how that impacts collaboration, time management, right? Compliance, level of compliance versus authentic engagement. And especially educator life, some of this is going to sound familiar, right? That true engagement versus people being compliant. So it can affect deadline accuracies. Are we missing deadlines left and right? It impacts communication in every sense, written, verbal, and implied, right? Are people not saying a lot? They're shutting down, but you can read their body language and see what's going on. Y'all, the whole space. So work, home, social, everything is affected based on these team dynamics, whether there is balance of sorts or if it's, again, too concentrated in one particular area, I'll say. There's no other way to say it. No other way to say it. So these personality styles really do bring a lot of insight in terms of these basic ideas being compared to and played against each other, right? And y'all, this is really what builds our culture. The list we said, right? Collaboration, time management, accuracy of deadlines, communication. This is what we focus on and emphasize to build the culture. So we might as well approach it strategically, right? Because if not it, the culture is going to develop anyway. If we don't approach it strategically, if we just, you, you know, you know, are very laissez-faire and just let it go, yeah, it's going to develop either way. So wouldn't we want the organizational culture in all the spaces, when we want it to be outlined, some definition, we want to nurture it, right? And inspect it versus, just leaving everything up to happenstance. Because with happenstance, if there's no intentionality, y'all, what could go wrong? Yeah, right. What could go wrong if we just, we just let whatever happen happen? This is when this is really when we hear people talk about like and really speak to inconsistencies, right? Bad and undesirable assignments, maybe racial biases, and all sorts of seemingly outrageous but often factual accounts because there were no clear definitions, there was no nurturing, there was no inspection with fidelity. A lot of things were just left to kind of go how they go and left to happenstance. And that's when you end up with a lot of these kind of grievance type situations. So again, I like to say a bunch of shenanigans and faux pas that are happening, but they're absolutely avoidable versus adding to the complexity of some of the natural conflicts that will take place, right? So again, y'all sprinkle, I see some fruit, I see some watermelon, some grapes, but sprinkle some fruit in the chat, comment, use your emojis as you best see fit as these things resonate with you and give you cause to pause, right? If it's making you stop and think, y'all. So let us know, drop some fruit. Again, the emoji of your choice. Let us know if any of these points are resonating with you. Uh-oh. All right. So we're about to make it to and take it to Myers. So Myers-Briggs is having its own focal point during our chat today, our discussion, because these types, the Myers-Briggs personality types, has the most research behind it. Okay, so y'all know that we make sure we merge and blend the social emotional with data and research behind it. So the Myers-Briggs has the most research behind it because they're very consistently connected to the individual, again, as a friend, in a romantic relationship, as a supervisor, as a peer, as a direct report, as a guardian, so many facets of this multidimensional life that we live, right? All the intersections, they focus on all of them. So looking at Myers-Briggs is why we should admit that first and foremost, yeah, there is an I in team. There's an I in team. So if you've heard of Myers-Briggs, please drop a 1 in the chat. If Myers-Briggs is something that you've heard about, maybe you've dealt with intensely, please do drop a 1 in the chat. Okay. All right. So like how does Myers-Briggs tell us that there's this I in team? Glad you asked. Here we go. So a little background. There's a mother-daughter team that declared that there were 4 main areas, right? They go into people's perception of the world and then guide their decision-making. So that's the 2 main things. So people's perceptions, right? And guides their decision-making, the lens through which they make their decisions, which again, if we're talking about organizational culture at the home level, organizational level, corporate level, this is what we need to know and focus on about people. We need to know how they perceive the world and what's guiding their decisions, right? Knowing that can be very impactful, very helpful when we're building the culture. So really quickly, the 4 areas really are, they set them up so that they're polar opposites, okay? So real quick, how many, let me see, the former math educator in me, right? If we have 4 areas with 2 options each, how many possibilities are there? How many personality types? What's your best guess? Some of y'all know. What's your best guess for how many personality types they defined during their research? that at any person, anywhere, regardless of the culture, regardless of background, they're going to fit into one of these blank personalities. How many personality types did they come up with for this Myers-Briggs? We have 4 areas. Each area has two extremes, either this or this. What's your best guess? How many personality types did they define? I see some people said sounds familiar. So these ladies actually developed 16 personality types. And I know you're thinking like, this is absolutely outrageous. There's no way that of these billions of people that everybody fits into one of these 16. But that is what they discovered. That is what the research proves true to. And at this point, personally, I've done this with thousands of people. And when people answer right and take the profile, being truly authentic, answering truthfully, the matches are high, right? Mostly upwards of a 90%. I agree with this, right? Type rate, and very different personality types across the board. So we're going to get into a little bit what the 16 types are comprised of. So the first one is usually whether someone is introverted or extroverted, right? So there's one of the I's right there, the I in team. You have some introverts. So let's pause there. Being mindful of the introverts, because maybe they might prefer a different way to communicate, right, with others. It may not always be speaking up out loud. It may not be where they want to present in front of the board, in front of the big group, but there's a different way, a different collaboration system that can be created so they feel fully involved and participating well. Now, there's actually a slightly third type that has come out of this more recently between the extroverts and introverts, something called an ambivert. Okay, so the ambivert is mostly extroverted, though. I know this sounds, y'all like, really? They're mostly extroverted, but they do have a threshold when at a certain capacity, they have to step away as well and kind of recharge, similar to introverts. Now, introverts, their capacity for being around people is much lower, right? Normally extroverts, like there is no cap. There is no cap on the limit for how much being around people energizes them and things. But for an ambivert, they're mostly extroverted. Then they have a cap, that a limit that's reached. Then they have to go recharge, right? So first of the 4, introvert or extrovert. Okay, Tamara says, I think I'm an ambivert. You know what? I found that a lot of people are, and even having a conversation, depending on your phase of life, right? Maybe depending on if you are in a relationship, if you're responsible for younger people, that you have to have your recharge time. That's also part of the topic, part of the discussion that people are having, because it's different other little life qualifiers that make it more likely, for you to be in one category or another. But that's kind of why the creation of and this new thought of ambivert came around, because people are like, no, I really do enjoy being around people, but at a certain point, right, it's not as it's not like it used to be, basically. So that's when the topic of ambivert came out. So I understand. I agree. Next category, sensing versus intuition, right? Sensing versus intuition. So sensing says the facts, details, common sense. They use the past to apply to the present and the future. So that's people that tend to make their decisions. Remember, we talked about that motivation behind their decisions based on sensing. So the facts, details, common sense, right? And then using precedents, right? So the past to apply to the present or future. Then the intuition, they're energized again by people. So some of these things, you see how it quickly starts to line up. They're energized by people, they're multitaskers, and they enjoy quick paces. So sensing versus intuition. That's level 2, the second category. Let's see, someone said parent and wife phase likely made me that way. Yes, I mean it's a thing. It's a shift. It's a shift. So again, any of these things we've talked about, not multiple intelligences necessarily, but love languages as well, phases of life and stages of life can impact that as to what you prefer, how people express their appreciation. So a lot of these things we also have to consider what phase and space in life people are in, for sure. Third level, thinkers versus feelers. Thinkers versus feelers. Okay, now, that's pretty straightforward, but just in case, thinkers, they like the logical analysis, value pros and cons. They will literally make a list for everything, for everything, for everything, right? But they also value honesty, consistency, and fairness. So, in that regard, these people tend to like to go by the book, right? They like to go by the book. Feelers, on the other hand, are sensitive, meaning they're more in touch with their feelings. They operate on feelings more so versus logic. Um, they focus on their personal values and beliefs, but they do consider how their actions impact others. They do consider how their actions impact others. Okay. So again, you can see we're starting to see where the lines are being drawn, and an unawareness of this can definitely have us tiptoe and moonwalk into some conflicts that we didn't have to walk into. We didn't have to open that door. We didn't. Last one, judgers versus perceivers. Judges, that level is more so, they're organized, super prepared, follow the rules, and stick to the plan. Okay. Perceivers like to keep their options open, act spontaneously, and they like flexibility in plans. Y'all, again, my goodness. I mean, do we see this natural and immediate space for conflict? If we're not careful, if we don't know this, right? If I don't know that someone likes to stick to the rules, but every time we get together, I'm like, hey, let's try this, let's try something new. I would drive them crazy, right? That approach would drive them crazy. But also just happen to be aware that usually we're going to have to meet somewhere in the middle. But being aware of these things helps us move again to avoid some of the unnecessary shenanigans and faux pas, right? When you know certain things about your team, whether it's home team, workspace team, organization, whatever space. Okay, someone said, glad there is consideration given to life qualifiers and stages of life. Most definitely. And I don't think enough time is spent there necessarily. And y'all can probably hear my conversation and tell that I am not fully a hardcore, well, y'all know at this point, I'm a blend of the emotional side with the data side, where we know enough, but we do have to pay attention, again, to some of these outside qualifiers because they do have impact, right? As Mufalada Love said, they have impact. So we have to be mindful of that. We can't just check everything off in the book because it's there and say, well, this is it, and that's all, and stick to that. We have to have flexibility, to me, because when you work with people, there's wild cards, there's variables that were never maybe quantified or qualified and showed up on paper. So we have to be mindful of that. But again, y'all, we know that conflict is natural with people involved because people, right? That's what we do. So it's going to happen. And so literally, we know that conflict just means that there's just some kind of disagreement, right? But how it's interpreted, how it's approached, and the aftermath, all of that matters for the team, for the culture. That's why we have to be considerate of these things. Okay, I see some fruit dropping, so that's resonating with someone. All right, y'all, as well, I need us to make sure that we're clear that this is why we're engaging in this dialogue, right? To understand the impact on the team dynamics, the hows and whys of the importance of being concerned and recognizing and reflecting, right? Because we can recognize, y'all know that's how, we see, study, and support, right? So if we're concerned, like, why does this keep happening? Then we start to recognize why it's happening, but we reflect and make our adjustments from there, and then we do it again. It's a little cycle, right? Yeah, when we have this awareness of these personality types where we fit in, right? That self-awareness first, where different team members, people in our immediate spaces, what their tendencies are, where they fit in. Y'all, I mean, man, we can make predictions about possible challenges amongst the team. Who wouldn't want to predict that? So we have a plan in place, right? So we have some ideas for when something happens, if it happens. We can navigate a bit smoother. They can help you predict objections in the corporate space, organizational space. I'm gonna say also the home space, right? You have an idea, you might know who's not feeling the idea. Yeah. Um, this awareness can also help develop an overall strategy. Again, I talked about it a little bit for some of the collaboration pods. So how collaboration might need to be approached differently when the scenarios are more complex or we have more of a distribution of personality types. Not everybody's going to jump out to talk right away. Not everyone. Maybe some people need a little more process time. The introverts might want to even sketch out some things sometimes, right? To kind of add to their question, their concern, their piece of contribution to the team. Lots of things. This awareness, right? Making sure you're self-aware, and then the ripple to the rest of the team, to again, the team in whatever space. Y'all, this can help provide more personalized support. And I'm going to keep saying it. I'm going to yell it from the hilltops that people in this time of the great resignation, because I don't think it's over, people started saying quiet quitting. But if you know what to look for, people are not quitting so quietly, right? You're just missing it. You're missing it. But in this time, people are saying that they're leaving, doing career pivots, all these different things we're saying because they don't feel supported. So imagine being able to apply this awareness so that you can provide more personalized support at home, in organization, in your corporate space. That's what people are deeply desiring right now. Deeply. Okay. You can leverage your strengths to make sure we improve and overcome in other areas, right? Using the team, leveraging the team. You can really curate an organizational culture. Remember, we said not wanting to leave it up to happenstance because it's going to write itself. If we don't write it, if we don't curate it, it's going to write itself. But with this information, you can literally build the culture that you want. Maybe something positive. Maybe you have synergy. Yeah, in your different spaces, what are some words? So home, corporate, other organizations, what are some words that you want people to use to describe the culture of your team? What are some words you will want people to use to describe the culture of your team? Again, that can be family, excuse me, workspaces, or other organizations. What are some words you will want people to use to describe your team? I threw out a couple of mine already, so maybe even positivity, synergy. But what are some words that you want people to use to describe your team? So again, that could be family life, workspaces, or other organizations. Okay, Mufalata Love said committed, caring. Yeah, again, because I don't want you to, okay. Tamara, TMI Design Consulting said nurturing. Y'all, again, because it's always about not just, okay, we have this data, we have this information, but how are we applying it? So again, if we're using our knowledge now of these personality types and styles to truly curate the culture, I want you to be intentional and think about what are some of the things, some of the descriptors you would want to happen in your team culture. So again, I love committed, caring, nurturing, efficient. Love it. Love it. So then here's another big question. What do they say now about the team culture? Have you asked? What do they say now about the team culture? Have you asked? And I'm especially pushing a bit, not just in corporate and organizational space, but home space. Remember, home life is a culture. Have you asked? Okay, something to think about. So these words that we said, have we been working on them intentionally? If we want efficiency, a nurturing, caring, and committed culture experience, right? That's what we want the culture of the team to be. Have we been working on it with intention? Right? Are we using again this knowledge, this data, where we know the different styles and types are, right? To provide again that personalized support, to have a certain kind of dialogue, to create certain type of collaboration spaces, to overcome objectives. Are we using what we know? Yeah, the list can really go on and on for how this awareness and the application of these styles can add value to bottom lines, client journeys, relationships, whether that's friendships, parenthood, with Bay, right? We touched on workplace dynamics quite a bit, but we can go on and on with this list. But I want to make sure that we're clear and know that again, self first, right? Then rippling to the others, right? So we can cause a shift. It can really cause a shift in the culture if you're willing to be authentic and transparent. And let me pause and say this because people do use those words quite a bit. And also recognizing within you being authentic that also is giving room for you being true about your capacity. Your capacity is not going to be the same every day. Right. So being truthful about that, especially if you're in different leadership type spaces, um, then the transparency. No, everybody may not need to know, why you were late that day, especially if it's something personal, but just knowing that and admitting that, you understand that, we know you have that, you're able to translate that empathy. So I think maybe transparency is more akin, more aligned to empathy in this case. Right. So not again just going off of, well, this is the checklist, this is what we said. And so it is what it is, especially again when there's people involved. So we can really create and cause this shift if there's authenticity, transparency, but if people are willing to do the work diligently. I'm finding we're in a lot of spaces where people have a checklist, right? And I'm really almost starting to hate the word checklist, honestly, because it is truly a time of doing it just to say you did it. So again, going back to that authenticity, they're not trying to really engage. They're not trying to make sure it's an authentic experience, an authentic shift. Somebody said we have to do it, so we're doing it. So again, the challenge would be doing the work diligently if we really want a culture shift, if we really want to curate and define the culture. Yeah, and the last little piece here to really using this awareness and the application of it, you have to be willing to inspect what you expect. Y'all know I have bars. You have to be willing to inspect what you expect, but with fidelity though. It cannot be you know, even if it's big things, I'm thinking corporate spaces, if it's certain things, reviews and whatnot once a quarter, there have to be some other basic check-ins along the way. And not necessarily something on the record, but just again, that authentic, that true connection point. So people know that that you're there with them doing the work, and people know that you're truly wanting to show up and be a part of and support the shift. Yeah. So again, this I in team, yeah, we talked about the introvert or extrovert, right? Haha. But this I in team, y'all, is really about the introspection after all. Again, always starting with you and your awareness, right? Using the info from your introspection to invigorate and truly guide the climate. Y'all didn't know I had bars like that, huh? To drop all those I's. I'm gonna say it one more time. I'm gonna run it back real quick. So again, the I in team is your introspection, yeah. And the info, excuse me, from your introspection to invigorate and really guide the climate, the culture that you desire. Y'all, and that is what it is. Okay. So again, I saw some more fruit drop in as people said this resonated with them. And thank you. The eyes. Listen, Dr. Mel, Scholars for the Soul. Sometimes I think I'm in the studio, Y'all. But again, if you missed it, please do go back, catch it from the top so we can talk about how this knowledge, this awareness, how we can use this to really build and not just build, but curate the culture that we want at home, in corporate spaces, in organizations, right? So, y'all, my name is Anika S. Jones. Please say the S. I am the community curator. I also serve as the lead consultant of Holistic Fluency, where we add value to individuals, organizations, and all around spaces by building relational capacity and emotional agility. Y'all, we want you to be smooth with it. We want you to be emotional ninjas out here, relational ninjas. So, in terms of the Myers Briggs profile, there's a specific resource that I have that's a favorite, and I'll pin it in a little bit. Okay. And so, please do explore it. Please do go through, see what how your personality type again impacts your parenting style, your style in the workspace as a supervisor, as a peer. Yes, y'all. Yes. Okay. So make sure we do it. Make sure we do it. I'll be back to say some more very soon. So I'm gonna leave this with you. We talked about why and how we can use it. I'm gonna give y'all some time to go ahead and figure out your personality types. Because we'll say more. We'll say more next week. So we hope you enjoyed it, and thank you. Thank you so much, right, for joining me. Tag some people, share, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye bye.